All right, let's try that again. I don't know how I muted my microphone, but I did. Welcome to live. Hello, hello. This is Wayne Belisle with this week's Profit Maximizer Moment. Today we're going to talk about why not all customers are right for you. All right. Um, Give me a second. Let me flip my notes over to here. Look, let's be honest, okay? Most business owners think that their biggest problem is not enough customers. Been doing this for a long time, so well over 30 years on my own and talking to a lot of other business owners. And let's be honest, and I've been burned. It's the more expensive problem is not almost always the wrong ones, not what you think it is. The customer who treats your time like it's free, the customer who renegotiates after the work starts, the customer who pays late every time and acts surprised when you mention it, or they don't pay enough to make up for what they cost you, not in dollars, in your energy, your emotional, just your emotional well-being, and the time that they take. Not not in the better work you could have done for someone else. So it's missed opportunity cost. The good news is they usually tell you who they are before they sign anything. Um, we're not you don't need more customers. Understand that. You need the right ones. And the first step is learning to spot the wrong ones before they're already inside your business. So how do you do that? Well, start by not being naive. There's a lot of reasons I've said yes in the past, and I'm sure you have too. Revenue, I need more sales. The number on the don't looks good, may not look good, but you need it. You know, Optimism bias. I'm guilty of this one a lot. All right. I think I'm the one who can make this person reasonable. Sunk cost thinking. I've already spent enough time on this. Feels like if saying no is I'm wasting all that time. Fear of not having enough work, the empty pipeline fear. Saying no to a real prospect feels riskier than saying yes to a bad one. All of these are real. None of them change what happens after they sign. The cost shows up later in the form of scope creep, late payments, your team's morale, and better work that you just don't have time for. Okay. So how do you identify this? All right. I've run into this myself. I've talked to many clients who this is a problem. All right. And almost every time when you look back, you had a warning. All right. I do one, I take a down payment for any new client. If they blink or don't show up with a down payment, um, that's a sign they're going to be a pain in the butt later. Sorry. Want to make sure I don't swear. And I'm not going to go over, names and anything like that. So what are we talking about? The first thing is they're haggling over price and they don't even understand the value. So, you haven't even had a chance to go into the value of what you're doing. Of course, you should lead with value. I mean, look, everybody's going to ask you, what does it cost and what are you going to do? Problem customers start with negotiating. If they're squeezing you before the work starts, they will squeeze you on every invoice after. They Another thing that I see, and I've had it happen, I always ask, okay, I'm a CPA, they're coming in tax return. Why are you leaving your last person? And if they badmouth their last person, yeah, they're going to badmouth you, and they're going to leave you a lousy review. All right, um, you'll be the last terrible person. There's a non-zero chance that this is a pattern form, and it's not the vendor's problem. Now, listen carefully when they answer. I do. I have seen some crazy answers, and because I know some of the competitors, some of them I believe, others I'm like, okay, what happened here? So that's a red flag. Keep your ears open. Number three red flag is they want to start before you send them an engagement letter or sign the contract or anything. They're in a hurry. Customer just can't wait for the signed thing. And then they'll have a dispute later because you didn't go over the contract with them or the retainer agreement or the engagement letter, whatever the heck you have. Don't. Just don't. I have learned not to do that. The scope keeps growing in the sales conversation. You've proposed A. By the third call, they want A plus something else, but at the same price, of course. So they're training you. I hadn't thought about that before, but they're training you. before you even start that your time is negotiable. Don't. All right. If somebody negotiates me on the price, like I have a package, boom, and it's going to be $1,500 a month or $500 a month. Doesn't matter what it is. If they negotiate that price is too high, yes, I will negotiate the price, but I always take something off the package. So, okay, I can do it at that price, but we won't be able to do tax planning. Is that important to you? Do you like paying too much tax? So it's kind of where we're at right now. Okay. Um, they're hard to reach now when they want something from you. If they ghost you for a week between sales calls when they're the ones buying, when you need to call them with a question or to get paid, they're not going to bother. They don't care. So remember, almost every problem customer shows you who they are before you sign the contract, the engagement, or whatever it is. The question is whether are you paying attention or just paying attention to the revenue. Look, I've reached a point where when I'm talking to a customer, a potential client, I'm doing the interviewing. I want to see, are they a good fit for us? I want to see, do they fit our business model? I want to see the kind of red flags I just showed here. I want to see if they have potential to be somebody that is interested in tax planning and coaching. In other words, my upsell items. If they're just a basic tax return and they're difficult to deal with, maybe not. Now, I do take some people just that have problems, but then, like I said, if they're coming to me and let's say they haven't filed tax returns for 3 or 4 years and they got a problem, um, I'm taking a pretty substantial down payment just about every time because my history has showed that when I give them the quote, they say yes and then they never come back and I start the work. No, we don't do that until I have a down payment down. We're not going there. Okay, how to handle this? Okay, here's 3 questions that you will really want to ask. These are above and beyond. I told you the ones I asked, but this too. I like this one. I've done it. So, what is it you want out of it? Another way to word it. What does success look like for you specifically if we do this work? What are you trying to get? To give you a vague answer, that means they don't really understand. They got a vague scope, which means it leads to disputes, it leads to emission creep. Um, yeah. So make sure you take notes, make sure you understand, keep pushing, don't let it be vague. All right. It's very easy. Well, I want to get the tax returns done. Yeah, that's great. Is that all you want? Are you gonna, if you owe money, are you gonna need help with setting up a payment plan? Understand that's not part of this. All right, something like that. Who else have you worked with? A second question. Who else have you worked with on this, and what didn't work? It's kind of what we talked about before. Listen for whether they take any ownership at all, or whether it's always somebody else's problem. In our case, I got to be awfully blunt. Every problem you have as a business owner is your fault. My fault if it's my business. I'm the business owner. I didn't catch it. Somebody else did it. My past CPA. Well, review. If you don't understand it, ask questions. The next thing is what's your decision timeline and who else is involved? If they don't have a timeline to make a decision, no urgency on their end, which often means slow pay. Hidden decision makers mean you're not actually selling to the buyer. I've run into that. I've learned that the hard way. Bookkeeper calls me, wants to set up an appointment. I won't do it. The owner has to be there, or at least on the phone with me. Truthfully, I'd rather they were in person or a Zoom call. All right. Listen, yeah, it sounds like I'm interrogating them. To a degree, I am, but that's not true. What I'm trying to do is I'm listening to their answers, line up with the kind of customer that I want my business to serve, and to make sure that they're a good customer for us. And I've only had 1 or 2 people go, wow, you're asking me a lot of questions. My last CPA didn't ask me. And I've just told them the flat out truth. Yeah, I only work with certain people that I feel like I can do a really good job for. And I can help them solve their problem in a way that makes them more money, saves them on taxes. If that isn't what's going to work, then it's not somebody I want to work with. Okay. Now, notice I wasn't being confrontational even when I answered their question, and I have said no. And almost every time, like I'd say 99 times out of 100, when I say no, It's not an apology. It's just, this is what you need to do. Uh, almost every time I'm coming in and saying, you're not a really good fit for us, or we don't do that. And I'm not going to take this on and not give you the kind of quality service that I'm used to doing and you should expect. All right. And here's who I would talk to instead. I never leave them without giving them somebody. And it's like somebody comes to me and they want payroll returns, among other things. I had a conversation this morning. We don't do payroll returns. Simple as that. It's not in our business model. We don't do them. I don't even say that. I just say we don't do business. We don't do payroll returns. Here's the options that I think you should consider. In that particular conversation we had this morning, you can do it yourself. They're on QuickBooks. We can set that up. You can go to ADP. I have another person we can outsource so they do the payroll returns for you. So you see what I'm doing. I'm not even giving them a chance to push back. All right. The ones who push back on that and say, well, but our past CPA did it. You see what I just did? I didn't really give them an out. We don't do them. It's pretty final. It doesn't fit our business model. This is what I recommend instead. So I'm not just leaving them out to dry, but I'm not also giving them an option to say, oh, come on, it's not that hard. It's not something we do. I don't even have the software. Okay. So look, your business, and this took me forever, and truthfully, we all have done it. When I first started, I needed to pay the bills, so I took any customer that showed up. I mean, I had 8 tax returns clients in the first year, 22 in the second year. We do between 600 and 700 now. I'm much more, I reached a point where it was like, time out. This is costing me money. And there are times where I've sat down more than once with a client and had the conversation. Okay, I helped you out in this year. You brought a mess to me. I helped you out on this year. We will not do this again next year. Here's the options. Either you have to fix up your records, hire a better bookkeeper. I got somebody that I can refer to. You got to give me the information. I'm not going through your checkbooks. You got to give me the information, recapped, whatever it is. I'm not going through that shoebox. I'm not going through that suitcase of receipts. Um, I used to just, once upon a time, I used to give them a ridiculous fee to do it. Unfortunately, I would have a couple of people actually say yes to it. We still hated it. So now I don't even do that. I'm just like, no, this is what it takes. And, you need to get it to us in a clean way, or else I'm not going to be able to do this. And there is a way to save the client that's unorganized but not difficult, or the customer that has ridiculous expectations. They come in and they want this and that and that, and you go like, it's just not possible. So be very careful, especially the one about price negotiating. Your price is your price. You're better off. All right. Are you better off with 10 customers paying you $10,000? Or are you better off with 3 customers paying you $100,000? I know that's extreme, but the amount of work is often the same no matter what. So your business is built on the customers you say yes to. The wrong yes is more expensive than almost any wrong no. The owners I've watched build the strongest businesses over the last 50 years are not the ones with the most customers. They're the ones with the cleanest customer list. They screen on the way in. They fire the ones that aren't going to do it, or they tell them how they're going to change it, like I do. I end up not firing very many because I'm pretty blunt. We're not going to do it unless we do this. But I have, if I have to. They protect their team's time and most valuable, which, their own sanity and their team's sanity, which their time is the most valuable thing you have. So if you got customers in your business right now that you're not sure about, and you want to talk through whether they're worth keeping, that's the kind of conversation I can have with a profit clarity call. 30 minutes, no pitch. I'll tell you straight what I see. Go to waynebelisle.com/clarity. All right. Hey, until next time. Sorry, I clicked the wrong thing. There we go. Hey, until next time, this is Wayne Belisle saying, let's make this our most profitable year ever. God bless, and see you at church. Have a great weekend. Thank you. Take care. I said end stream. We'll get out of here sooner or later.